Here's what happens when I drop my site into this form. A short SEO report is instantly generated on my WordPress website. No waiting, no spreadsheets, all powered by OttoKit. And if you stick around until the end of the video, I'll show you how to grab the exact workflow template for free. This kind of workflow is useful if you're a business owner doing a quick self-check, an agency offering free SEO audits to attract leads, or a consultant preparing for a client call. It saves time and gives you instant valuable insights. Let me show you how we've built this workflow in OttoKit. So here's our SEO review WordPress page demo, and you can clearly see that the workflow is separated into two parts. Part one runs through a couple of AI calls and ChatGPT, and all of that generates a WordPress page with our SEO report. Part two is if the user also adds in their email address, they'll also be sent a PDF report. And so that's the second part of the workflow. So let's get started with taking a look at how we set up our form, and then we'll go into some of the API calls and ChatGPT. So it starts with a user submitting a form. That is our trigger. You can use any form option here. I used one that allowed me to have the ability to add in a hidden field. So let's take a look at our form. So we ask for the first name, the last name. We're putting in SEO keyword phrases that they want to see how their page or post or website is doing against. And they're putting in their full URL. So all of those are required. And again, we're adding in that option if they want to have a PDF report of the SEO review sent to them. And here is our hidden field, which generates a random string. So the random string is an important piece because down the line, it actually helps generate the URL, the slug part of our WordPress page. So I've got a random string in here as the default value, and you'll see that I have report dash. And so you'll see that as we get into the WordPress page creation step. If you want to think about it, it's like a unique fingerprint that ties the submission to the WordPress page. So it's only generated for that particular user. So that's our form. Now let's get back into our workflow here. And we've got two API calls. Now I'm using, let me just zoom in here so we can see this better. I'm using Jina AI, which provides a set of tools to create a powered search and also to retrieve, in our case, unstructured data or data sets like HTML elements and things like that. Our first Jina AI API request is to scrape the HTML elements, specific ones that we need for our SEO analysis. So let's take a look at our API request. So we're using the get method, and our endpoint URL is provided to us by Jina AI, and you'll need an API key in order for this to work. And to get an API key, you just have to visit Jina AI, and this is what it's going to look like when you go to their website. You click on the API tab and it'll take you down to instantly get started. You don't need to register, you don't need credit card, and you get 10 million tokens for absolutely free. To get your API key, you click on API key and billing here. They'll give you an API key right up front, right here. Once you've got your API key, you want to go to the Reader tab, and this is where you finesse how you put in your API request. So you want to put in the URL. In our example, we can put in any type of URL, and you want to use your API key for a higher rate limit. And then if we scroll down here, we want to use the content format. In our case, we were using HTML because we want to look at the HTML elements, right? And then we want to scroll down here and we want to select the CSS selector. That's the one I think is working the best. If we turn that on, you'll be able to specify CSS elements in the HTML. So you're not getting the entire page of the HTML, you're just getting specific CSS elements that will help ChatGPT analyze what's good or bad about the SEO. So H1 tags, metadata, things like that. So if we go back to our API call, you'll see that here, we've got our API key in there. And if we scroll down here, you'll see that we're putting in the return format as HTML. And we're also using another key header here, the X target selector, and that's where we can specify those CSS selectors so that we can get those specific elements for our SEO analysis. We click on continue, and click on save. Our next call is for just to get the body. And again, we're using Jina AI, and we're using that specific endpoint and then the URL that was submitted by the user from the form, grabbing basic information for the content of the website page or post that the user has submitted. And then we have a simple call to the formatter, and that's just getting today's date and time so that we can add it to our SEO review report. And then we have 2 calls to ChatGPT. The first one analyzes the SEO elements coming in from Jina, and the second one produces HTML output for our web page. So let's take a look at these 2 in more detail. So we're using the 4.0 model here. The role for our AI is an intelligent SEO review agent. So we're analyzing and provided HTML against the target keyword phrase here. In this case, the target keyword phrase here is Larry. And then we're putting in some rules to analyze only what's present, not to make stuff up, and to use the body and the HTML elements for best SEO practices. And that's all we're doing there, and click continue and click on save. And then we get into our HTML output. So here's a lot more detail. Again, using the role as an SEO optimizer agent, we're saying to produce a short actionable SEO report in pure HTML. That's important because we only want to capture the HTML output here so that it can produce our WordPress page. So we're asking it to take the analysis that it made up in the previous ChatGPT request, along with the elements found in the Jina request, and we're just giving it specific rules and scoring information on how to score the SEO, and we're giving it the actual structure to output our SEO report, and you can see all of that information there. So that's all that's doing there. And we'll click continue and click save. Then we have another formatter, and this is where the random string comes into play. Okay, so we're going to click on this, and we're going to use the formatter option text, and our configuration is URL encode, and we're giving it some static URL here, SEO review and then we're putting in that hidden field that's coming in from the form. If we hit the @ symbol here, we go up to the form. Here it is right here. There's our random string. And again, it's unique to this submission, and so it will change every submission. So that's how that's coming in there. We'll click continue here. So that's an important piece. We'll click on save. And then we're going to generate our WordPress page, right? So we've got all the pieces, we've got all our components, we've done the analysis. Let's generate a WordPress page. So I'm using the WordPress app connection here to create an update or a post. And if we go to configuration here, we're doing the select post type as pages, and our post status obviously is published so that the user can actually see it. You got to put in your author information. And then for the post title, I'm just putting in SEO review for first name, last name. And then under optional fields, we want to go down here to the post slug. Again, very important because that's our URL coded by the formatter text. So that's this step right here. So there is our URL, SEO review report, and then random string. So that's what's going on there. And then for the post content, we're taking the information that was generated by ChatGPT, that structure of our report, and that's going in here for our post content. I'll click continue and click on save. And then we have the whole second half of this thing, right? So the branch here is saying if they've put in an email address, so in other words, it's not empty, then do the following steps so that's a yes path. So do the following steps up there. And if it's a no, hey, just add in a delay for 12 hours. And then I have an API call here that goes ahead and deletes the pages that were generated. In order to delete a page, we have to use the API request. We're using the WP JSON here, version 2 pages, and then we're putting in the ID dynamically. And so that's coming in from the generated page step previously. And then we're going to use basic auth. And one of the things that you'll need in the WordPress step here is an application password that you can create under your WordPress user profile. So that's an important step to note. And we'll click continue here, click on save. So that's doing that. So under the no branch, just delete the page. Under the yes branch, let's run through this real quickly. It's going to create a document from the HTML that ChatGPT generated for us, okay? And that's Google Docs. And then for the next step, it seems obvious, but it isn't. We have to make all the links in the document clickable. So that's what that step is doing there. And then for the third Google Docs request step here, we are asking it to create a PDF. So it will create a PDF for us as a temporary link to the PDF report. And then we're going to take that PDF and we're going to upload it to our Google Drive on a shared folder so that the user can get access to it. And then our last step here really is to send an email to the submitter using an email service, and we're using SMTP Go. And then we're putting in that 12-hour delay to then go ahead and delete the WordPress page that was generated. So now that you've seen the pieces of the workflow, those action steps that we've got there, let's see it in action. So I've got my form up here in preview. Let's quickly fill this out, and then we're going to get our thank you message with our link to our SEO report. So we'll click on submit, and I've got a simple CSS script running here. So at a count of 60 seconds, and that gives the workflow enough time to generate the WordPress page on the fly. So we'll come back to the video when the 60 seconds are up and we get our thank you message with our link to our WordPress page. So here's our thank you message. Here's our link. We're going to click on that. It's going to open up in a new browser tab. And here is our SEO report. SEO report review for first name, last name. And here is the URL that we gave it. And here is the date that it generated on. And it's going to give us a nice summary with a final grade, some extracted elements, talking about the meta description, canonical link, some H1 tags, H2 tags. So all of that was garnered through the Jina AI. And then it's going to give us that rubric scoring with a 10 as excellent and 0 as missing. We'll see I have a lot of 9s and 8s here. And it's going to give us some quick wins, things that we can instantly do to help our SEO. Some long-term recommendations, top 5 issues and fixes, some improved tagging that we could do, internal linking ideas, FAQ schema-ready prompts here, and then external sources and references. Let's go over to our email now and make sure we got our email that came in. So here it is right here, SEO review, and it gives us the URL that was submitted. And if we click on here, we'll just open this in a new private window. And here is our SEO review, which we can then print or download as a PDF. And that's the SEO Report Optimizer workflow powered by OttoKit. A simple form, a few automation steps, and you've got instant shareable SEO insights. You can grab this exact workflow recipe. It's linked in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe for more automation tips and strategies. We'll see you in the next video.